glue skillet? Why would you even want that? I'm gonna tell you why. I've been making flowers forever. I've been working with glue guns forever, it feels like. I've tried them all, I've done it all. So I actually reached out to Surebonder about their glue skillet because I was like, what the heck is this? And tell me more, please. So they ended up sending me this glue skillet and some glue. And when I first even when I got the glue, I was like, glue? Like, why do I need specially formulated glue in a bag that's just like cut up? Like that seemed silly to me because I was kind of like, well, why wouldn't I just use my regular glue? So anyways, I'm gonna talk about this glue skillet today, and basically its ins and outs, what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and if it's worth buying. So first things first, I'm going to talk briefly about the glue and why you are going to want to buy this glue over just cheap glue that's not Surebonder brand or using your Surebonder glue sticks. These little pellets, which are, I mean, they really do just look like they chopped up big sticks into smaller little pellets. These pellets are actually formulated to be less stringy. I don't know about you, but on these glue guns, after a lot of use, the spider webs off of them get ridiculous and so obnoxious and annoying. And there's a way to work around that. Like if you just slow down, you can eliminate a lot of spider webs, but like I'm an impatient worker, so like I move very quickly and I just, you know, can create a huge mess of spider webs. Anything that's like strings less, like yeah, yes please. I really hope that they can formulate something like this into a stick and we can put it in the glue gun. But who knows, there might be different melting temperatures and science, you know. But anyways, that is one thing I will say right off the bat, buy the glue that is specially formulated for the glue skillet. However, right now it only comes in this clear version. I really kind of hope that they come out with like different versions of it that you can put in your skillet. I have seen other crafters put in colored glue sticks in here and like the glitter glue sticks in here, and been using it a lot for doing like wax seals, which I thought was super cool and trendy because you're like, oh, you could just throw the wax or the glue sticks in here and then you could just use like a scoop, pour it, and like you have a wax seal and some like pretty different colors. You can also just put wax in here too. So the only drawback is if you are going to put a different glue in here, like a glitter glue or a colored glue, it's not the easiest to clean. There is potential for a lot of waste in here if you just fill this up with a bunch of glitter glue and you're like, well, I'm done with glitter glue, let's change colors. And you'd be like, well, you're gonna be dumping it out, wasting it. It's definitely harder to clean out, and you might have to buy 17 of these if you wanted to keep them clean and organized and whatnot. Mind you, you can get it out and clean it. It's not fun. This is what it looks like out of the box. Comes with the cord. You've got a temperature dial here and an on and off switch. If you've got any of my other videos about any of the Surebonder glue guns or any of their products or any glue guns, I love me an on and off switch and a light that turns on that says I'm on. And I love not having to unplug and plug back in something to turn it on. So that is a big thing that I really, really enjoy. And then the temperature, so there's no like actual like temperature settings on here, but it just goes from low to high. If you read the box and the instructions, it says never go to the all the way high point, leave it like medium high, but depending on the project you could definitely still go low because all of their glue is low and high temp glue. You can go low and high, you'll still get a good bond. The only thing is I have noticed if it is on low, for instance, like when it's on the lowest setting, I don't really feel like it works the best. I think it definitely works better when it's a little bit hotter. If you are having problems with it being too low, you can just kind of keep slowly cranking up the heat a little bit for it to work a little bit better. So you just gotta kind of play with it and find your sweet spot and run with that. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and load this up and get it started. Ta-da! It is melted and ready to go. It's on medium-high heat right now, but it does take quite a bit for your glue to melt down. You gotta heat it up. It's probably gonna take about 35 to 50 minutes. One time I heated it up and I didn't realize what temperature it was on, and I accidentally had it on low, and I think it took over like an hour and a half, and I'm like, dear Lord, what is happening? Why is this taking so long? And I was like, oh, because it's on low. So no wonder it took forever to heat up, but turn it to medium-high. It's still gonna be a minute. They also sent me these stir sticks. I'll get into my love for these But basically it's really satisfying. When it's melting down, you can stir it up and kind of help break up the glue and just kind of like heat it up that way. I had to grab my little mat here because it is definitely helpful. So you can stir these up and kind of rotate the glue, help it melt down a little bit better. You do kind of just need to let all that glue drain off the stick if you don't want to kind of create a big mess anywhere. You can also kind of scrape it off the side and it'll go back in, but we're just gonna go ahead and twirl it and throw it down here. I'm using my silicone mat. I really love this thing, but then you can throw the hot glue on here and it's not gonna stick and you can easily clean this up. This is the part I don't like about these darn stir sticks. I love being able to use them. I think it's necessary. I think you need a tool to kind of stir with and kind of break up the glue, or, you know, maybe possibly remove any imperfections or dust or anything that might fall in here. But you cannot clean these things. Like, the glue gets stuck to them immediately. Like, it does not clean up nicely like their silicone mat version. I really wish they would just coat these in silicone. Surebonder, you wanna coat these in silicone maybe? And there could be a reason for it, I don't know, maybe, but it would be really nice if you could just literally like roll the glue right off of it and keep using a clean stir stick. There's a reason why I haven't actually touched this one and put it in the glue yet, because this one, for instance, the glue's not quite set. But if you see it, it's like the glue's on there and it is not coming off very well. Like, I've tried scraping it off. I tried scraping it off on the side to reheat it and pull it off, but like, I've never been able to get this one clean like brand new, and it like just bothers me a little bit, and it's just like, oh, it's hurting my like perfectionist clean soul that like I want it to look like it did before. So that is my only qualms about the stir sticks. I do think they're worth getting, but it's also not necessary. It is very satisfying while you're melting the glue to play with it and stir it, but not necessary per se. Another thing to keep in mind too, when I use this a lot, I put it on my mat, and it's kind of hard to see on here, but the little feet on the bottom did make some brown marks on my mat. That kind of made me a little sad. And I was like, oh, my shiny mat has got brown spots on it. And it's 100% from the feet of this skillet. So that was kind of a bummer, especially because like something like this, there's potential for more dripping because you're not controlling the glue so much that you're gonna wanna work on like a safe surface, which is why I have my big mat out right now. However, don't put it on your mat if you don't want to risk little brown feetsy marks. So that was a little unfortunate for me, but it's not going to hurt your mat if you put it on top per se. It's just might discolor it a little, and then you might be sad. Moving on, so this is really hot to the touch. You have to be very careful with this guy, because it's like you are not going to pick this up and you're not going to move it, especially because you don't want to risk spills, but you're not even going to want to touch the outside of this thing because it's very warm to the touch. Keep it in a very safe place. If you've got kids, keep that in mind. You don't want anybody like yanking cords at all. I mean, mind you, it's pretty like heavy, but like it can be knocked over. Another thing is it does smoke a little. So I was kind of reading too that you can lower the temperature, and I feel like the amount that I've played with it, I've lowered the temperature, but then it's gotten to the point where like it's not adhering as well, and then I'll raise it back up. It's hard to classify it as like smoking per se. It's just like, I mean, I guess it's smoking, but it's not like outrageous. Like, it's not like a deal breaker. It's just one of those things that you're gonna wanna turn off after every use. And it has like a smell. Like, it's not, imagine if you're using your regular glue gun and every once in a while, like some glue comes out and it's like, oh, that smells a little like processy, you know, that's just like a constant smell here. So if you're sensitive to smells, it could be an issue. But also, if you are smelling it when you're opening yours up and using it, like, don't be alarmed. It kind of is what it is. Next thing, like, what are you gonna use this for? So the way they brand it a lot is using it for wreath making. And you know, you're making a big long wreath, and you're gonna get like your silk flowers or felt flowers or whatever, and you're gonna dip it and then just place it onto your project. And honestly, I've done that for a few projects and it works really well, and it's really kind of nice. Today, I'm gonna show you kind of how I use it really quickly. Like, this is just a really quick and dirty way of like how I use it regularly and why I find it helpful. So I just have a felt ball here, a wire. I poked a hole in it already. I just stick my wire in it. And if you notice, like right off the bat, no strings. Like I dipped it, twirled it, absolutely zero strings on this thing, and so it makes it really, really clean. And then I just throw it in my felt ball, and this was completely hands-free of me having to grab a glue gun, put glue in there, put the glue gun down, now pick up my wire, now put it in there. Like when I am doing a lot of these felt ball bouquets, this is just like so game changer on like how fast I can go. Other times when I am doing that to say attach a flower, like I've dipped it and then if I put too much, I can easily brush it on the side of the glue skillet because it's still really, really hot around this edge, that it'll pull off the extra glue that I may have gotten on there. So it does yield to a lot of control after just playing with it. So like this is a dried piece and I can literally go back on the hot edge and pull off like all the glue if I wanted to. So I really, really appreciate the level of control that you have with it. And like there's so many possibilities of all the fun things that you can do with this thing. And so I do encourage you to try it and see how you can add it into your workflow. So like just have it on your desk and have it heated up and just being like, oh, you know, this would just be way easier if I just did that real quick, and like see how that can help you out. And just to follow up too, I did turn it down. I would say the smell has gone down a little bit. The smoke is still there, it's still smoking, but it has gone down a little bit. I think it's just important to keep playing with the temperature and find your sweet spot of what works really, really well. Also, I'm doing this on camera right now, so I have no idea what it's at because I can't see it because you're seeing it. I would definitely recommend this for people that are doing large scale wreath projects. I mean, they advertise it as a big help for that, and like I 100% see that. As a felt florist, definitely I could see this being super helpful. I have one just sitting on my desk, my work desk, and I'm just constantly like, oh yeah, that works better. Oh, that was faster, because I'm all about efficiency and working as quickly as I can, especially when you have like hundreds of orders and you've got tons of flowers that you're making. It's just so much easier when you could just quickly and efficiently do things. Like you saw how quickly this came and worked. And I feel like the formulation of the glue and the less stringiness is really, really helpful. So this is not gonna be like your end all buy one, cry never kind of a thing. Like you're definitely gonna still need a glue gun, and it depends on project by project basis, but just having this available on your workspace is very helpful. I definitely think this is more of like a luxury kind of a thing where you're like, do you need it? No. Do you want it? Yeah. Unless you are making wreaths like all day long and you want to just be like dip and go, dip and go, dip and go, and then you're just like really, the manufacturing power of doing something like that is going to speed you up. It's definitely been really, really fun to play with it, and the more I'm using it, the more I'm finding new and different ways to use it for. So I actually have two of them because I have them in multiple different locations. So bear with me here. I am going to scooch this one over and I am going to talk about things that I dislike. So already right now, I don't think you can see, but like there are little feetsy marks on my table from this. So it definitely gets warm underneath it. I don't love that. And then when I scooched it over, like it kinda rubbed feet marks over. Maybe think about that when you're gonna put this out somewhere. Like make sure it's on a surface that is safe and protected. If it is on silicone, which is a great option, just know that it might, like, it's gonna get hot underneath it. So keep that in mind. Maybe put it on a hot pad, or maybe put it on something that, or you know, a towel or anything, but just keep that in mind that that's a thing. And like, I'm putting my hand on here like a minute later and it is still warm. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this one off because we are done with it. And they do suggest putting it in low and then turning it off. I've done it both ways because I've kind of forgotten to put it on low. I think the drawback of doing that too is when you turn it back on for the next use, you're like, why is it taking so long to turn it back on? And then you're like, oh, because it's on low. Like this one, for instance, literally is set to high and it's off. This one's not even plugged in at all. Okay, so here is the thing that I don't love. So this is it completely dry in your skillet. I've also noticed after multiple uses and multiple drying or setting is that this color of glue is getting a little bit tinged a little darker every little time. That also could be because it got on high and, you know, I don't know, overcooked it a little. Probably not to the optimal temperature, that it's just sitting constantly at that like maybe higher temp. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if it burned a little. All right, so this is the one that I use, I would say 90% of the time. This is my pretty one, and this is my very, very used one. So yeah, you've definitely got the darker color of glue every time it sets. I've got all of this glue on the side from like kind of when I showed you like how I kind of, when I clean off something, if I have too much glue or do portion control of glue, I have a lot of messes on the side from doing that, and it's like, you know, it's not coming off. Like it's not picking off like I would want. You know, the satisfaction of literally pulling off glue off of silicone, like that satisfaction I really want, but it's not on here. And that's where I kind of get to the point too where you wanted to clean one of these things. It would be very difficult to clean. Not impossible, but just, I would say obnoxious and annoying, because you literally have to keep it in its hot state, dump it out or scoop it out, and probably get like a, you know, just a really like a paper towel, rag, whatever, and just like scoop out the rest of the glue, and you're just like tossing that really, and like just getting it as clean as possible. But at the same time, like it's gonna be hot the whole time while you're doing that. And I don't love that. I really wish it would clean better. Then you would get a little bit more options there without having to have like multiple skillets if you wanted to go down that route of being like, I want multiple different things inside my skillet. So keep that in mind. I would not recommend, I mean, it just feels super dangerous to clean one. Another thing that I'm not crazy about, and you know, even just now I was like, wow, I need a solution for this. I work with felt, and it creates a lot of felt dust, felt fibers everywhere. So the top of my dried glue is literally covered in felt fibers and just dust. And like, it's pretty solid and I can clean out most of it, not a problem. And I would almost suggest making sure you clean the top of your dried glue before turning it back on, because when you melt it, it's all gonna just be mixed in with your glue, and it's like just dirty glue potential. So I would definitely clean it before you use it. I need something like a cover for it. Like even if Surebonder came out with like a lid, that would be really cool. Obviously you'd have to put the lid on when it was cool and not hot, but that would be like really, really handy. But also I was like, oh, I should just get one of those like plastic shower caps or something. You know, put it over it while it's not in use and it is just completely off, because you don't want to melt anything either, because there's that risk factor. But then at least it protects the surface from getting dirty and gross, because anything that falls in here and you're not paying attention or you're not thinking about it is going to go straight into your glue and make it dirty and gross. That is something that I would keep in mind, is where you're storing it when it's off. Those are the key takeaways that I'm like, I don't love. Like the stir stick, don't love them. Don't love that you have to cover it with something because it can get yucky. I don't love how the glue slowly gets hotter and hotter and changes colors a little bit. That could be user error on my part. I could definitely probably be keeping it a little bit cooler and not probably burning it. But the fact that you have that option is kind of like, ooh. Other than that though, I love it. So I love the fact that there's not an off switch. I love that there's a temperature gauge, an indicator light. I love how it speeds up my workflow. I love having this on my desk. I love like when my workflow is, I just literally have a few different glue guns depending on the projects I'm using. I have them all turned on, which I know I'm crazy. I have the tool ready to go and it's heat up. And then when I'm done, I just like turn them all off. Or if you're new around here, I definitely turn all my glue guns off every time. Definitely don't leave anything on, which I secretly leave everything on. This, however, I always turn off because it's a little scary to have just like molten hot glue spill on something. It has a little bit of a smell and it will smoke. So I definitely want to make sure that these are getting turned off after every use. Just keep in mind, it does take a long time for it to turn back on. So, do I think you should buy this? If you've got the extra money, absolutely. Why not? Because I mean, us crafters, if it's a tool we can have, we're gonna have it because it's fun and shiny and new and helpful. Is it necessary? No. I mean, what is necessary these days though? Do you want it? Yeah, buy it then, come on. I do find a lot of good purposes for it, but I do again think it's a luxury purchase. Like, you don't need it. You could use a glue gun if you have that. I think this is really, really helpful for people that just need to speed up their workflow or just play with a new toy. Strongly recommend buy the glue pellets that they sell for this skillet because they genuinely do string less. And that was one of the things that I kind of put to the test because I was like, there's no way. And like literally strings less, works better. I'm very, very impressed that they were able to formulate it that way. Now just I want to formulate it in the other guns. I'm sure there's a reason. Okay, so you've heard my opinion. Let me know in the comments if you have one, if you'd like to try one, or if you just want one. I want to know. If you want to snag one, go ahead and click the link down below and it'll take you straight to the Surebonder website. I do get a little bit of a thing for that. So help the channel out and give me a little bit of kickback, because I really do love the product and I really do think it's worth it. So go ahead and find their website and all their other goodies below, and be sure to like and subscribe and notification bell and all the nonsense, and then be sure to do a dance and a jig while you're doing that, because it feels like I have to say that every time. So love you guys. Let me know your thoughts. Okay, bye.